Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and you're listening to another episode of the world famous, the University Loved, the best podcast, ladies and gents, in one, two, three galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is Wednesday. August or something, okay? 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be talking to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something. Last week, I took off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think I was off Thursday. I got off early Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, a record. In the last 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, I have been working 6 days a week, you know, sometimes 7 days. And I decided to take a few days off to spend time with my wife and my child. My child, unlike the rest of you, okay. My daughter loves to see my handsome face. Okay, she enjoys it. She likes going to a restaurant. She likes walking around, eating at the restaurant, getting dessert. So we went out Friday. Me and my wife, child, we went out, we had dinner, we had a nice dinner, came back, we got ice cream. She loves the ice cream. I myself prefer the sorbet. I don't know about you, but I do like a nice sorbet. A nice a nice little bowl of ice cream after dinner never hurts anybody. Okay. You don't wanna gorge. You can't gorge. But some nice ice cream after dinner always nice. And I think that was the I forget what we did the weekend. We got in the pool. We got in the pool Sunday. We went to church. Got in the pool. We went to church. We had a lovely time this weekend, okay? And it was so nice. Tuesday when I was getting up, I was going to work. And y'all said, "Oh no." I said, "Yeah, I gotta go to I gotta go to work today." I said, "I'll be back sometime tonight." Because a lot of times I would love to get home in between the hours of I would love to get home around 4 or 5 o'clock every day, but a lot of times it don't work that way. A lot of times for me, I don't know about you, but where I live, the work that I do, outside of podcasting is very, the driving sometimes. You get off into a place around 3 o'clock. Sometimes this is what happens. I'll be off in South Georgia, south of Atlanta, like Macon. Sometimes it's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'm picking up a load. I already know if I just drive back, I'm just gonna sit in traffic like an idiot. So what I would do is sometimes I would just, I would call my wife and say, "Hey, I'm just gonna eat dinner. I'm just gonna get something to eat." And if she makes something, I'll have it. I'll have it that evening, but a lot of times I'll get like a light. If it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, a light lunch, lunch, kind of lunch, early dinner. I'm getting older, early dinner, okay? But it's nothing too heavy, but I'll get something to time me over because a lot of times, man, that Atlanta traffic, that Georgia traffic now, it's not just Atlanta, man. It's all over now. It's getting worse and worse. And this is reason number one. This is reason number 1,000. I gotta get out. I gotta, you know, we're moving off the truck. But I enjoyed my time off with my child. I did miss talking to you. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk. Today, ladies and gentlemen, me and you, we're just gonna rap. We are just gonna talk about the things. We're gonna talk about something. I'm gonna give you a mistake that you should not do that I've done. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you about mistakes that I made. We all make mistakes, but ladies and gentlemen, the best thing about people, it doesn't matter. Listen, you can learn things from people. It doesn't matter if you learn something from them, if you learn what not to do, if you learn what to do. It's like I guess it would be like being, if you get married twice, the first time, listen, you try, okay? In a marriage, I don't care what you are, I don't care what anybody tells you, ladies and gentlemen. When you get married, you try harder, and you try harder in a marriage than you ever did in a relationship. Listen, I love my wife. I love my wife to death. I love her to pieces. When we was just girlfriend, boyfriend, and she said, "Hey, I'm gone." Okay. I mean, it's not. I'd be sad. Oh, but it's like, hey, but we're married and we've been married. This is September. It will be 8 years. It's like we've got a lot invested, and now if she says I'm leaving, I would say, honey, why? Let's work this out. Let's see if we can work this out. You put out more effort. And so let's say you got married once, twice, three times. You learn something every time, you learn something from, I don't care who you meet, 90%, 99% of the time you can learn something from somebody. You can learn what to do, you can learn what not to do. I remember I give you a great story. I was in the Navy one time. I remember I missed the bus. Now I missed the last trolley going back to 32nd Street in good old San Diego, California, okay? So I missed the last trolley and I missed the bus. And so I was like, no, I missed the bus to get to the trolley. So I was like, man, what am I gonna do? And I just thought, well, where I grew up, walking was like, man, walking was, no problem. Me and my me and my me and my boy, we used to walk from sun up to sundown. I used to walk to my I used to walk to my auntie's house to go pick up my baby brother. Used to walk, clear across town, to walk him home, go clear across town. So walking was never like a problem. And so I just remember I was like, I missed the bus. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start walking. And I remember I was walking and this guy just popped up. It was like in a movie. He just popped up. He's like, what's up, young blood? I'm like, what's up, man? And he was like, where you going? I was like, man, I missed the bus. Going back, I gotta start walking back downtown. He's like, man, it's like 15 miles. I was like, hey, I'm not calling no cab. Back then, I was super cheap. They didn't have Lyft back then, kids. This was back. I was like, I'm not calling no cab. They're not gonna rip me off. I was like, I got feet. Guy gave me two legs, and I'm gonna use them. So we just started walking. Me and this guy. He was an alcoholic, and he was in the net. I mean, he said he was in the military. He was in the Marines or something. And I just remember talking to him, and we walked a good 5, 10 miles, me and him. And we was just walking and talking about life. And he was telling me about, how he was in the military and, he developed an alcohol problem. And I thought, number one, I learned in my family, some of us, we go two ways. You can either be a big old drunk or you won't drink at all. It's, some people, they can control it, but not a lot of people in my family. Not a lot of people, but some of them can't handle that liquor. So you try to stay away from that. So I learned, I was like, man, I don't want to. He drinking, and he needed, like his hand was shaking because he needed that beer, man. So we stopped at the liquor store. I got him a beer, and his hand stopped shaking when he got the beer. He's like, I know, young blood, don't be like me. And I was like, I try not to be. You're a good guy, but man, this is crazy. And then I thought to myself, man, I don't want to stay in the I don't want to stay in the military. Like my mind I was already leaning towards not being in the military. It's two stories that made me just really be like, I'm out. When it came to the military, he was one of them. The next one was, but I'll get back to him in a minute. But the next one was, there was this guy walking up and down the pier. I remember I was standing watch out in front of the pier. Um, the Navy was cool. Don't get me wrong, but uh wasn't for me. But I remember this guy, he was just walking back and forth, walking back and forth. I'm thinking, what's wrong with him? And I was like, hey man, what's going on? You all right? And he's like, man, I just put in my retirement papers a month ago, and my wife filed for divorce this week. And me, I was young then. I was like, well, he's like, man, she's gonna get half of my retirement. And I said, whoa, that sucks. And he's like, who you telling? And I was like, man, that's got to be a sting. But anyway, I say all that to say this guy, he was walking down the street, and I learned, like, hey, don't let the military don't let the military break you. The guy I was walking with, the homeless gentleman, don't let the military break you. Don't start drinking too. Don't start drinking. You know, uh, and watch your money, because people. A lot of times people have mental illness, but a lot of times we get into these situations where lack of finances. Why lack of finances? Because a lot of things you think the money's gonna keep rolling in, this, that, and the other. So that's what I learned. And I remember I walked with the guy that he's like, all right, young blood, this is it for me. Uh, I'm just gonna go back here and go to sleep. Then we shook hands, dapped each other up. He's like, I know I ain't gonna never see you again, but you know, it's good walking with you, good talking with you. And 20 years later, man, I still have the 25 years later, forget 20 years. 25 years later, I still have the memory of that fella. And I say all that to say, man, we learn from people. It doesn't matter, man, whether it be a short time, a long time, I got a cousin. I told you he's like my brother. He is my brother, not like my brother, but he is my brother. I remember he was talking to me about stock market, this, that, and the other. And I know a little bit about the stock market. I know more about hey, the index fund, getting the index fund, and putting into that, and just doing that. But he told me something about like option trade and stuff like that. So I was like, what, I believe everything he's saying, but for me, I'm the type of person, I have to see this. I have to start trying to figure out the stuff on my own, and looking into it. And I can always, I know I can always go to him and ask him a question, but I'm like, hey, this is good advice, because you want to, I knew as a kid, when I was young, when I was 18, 19, even in high school, I knew how to save money, but I remember I went to a guy one time when I was like 18. I was like, hey, I want to learn how to make money work for me. I want to learn how to invest money. And, he was like, hey, index funds. And, you know, I got into it, you know, just putting money into an index fund, I've learned a little bit. It grew some, Stop for a while. Look, stop for a while. That was a mistake. I probably could have been a super duper millionaire by now. But, it's some money in there. I'm gonna keep waiting and waiting. I'm never gonna be like, oh man, I need to, but those are just things that you learn from people. So you learn from people, you learn what to do, you learn what not to do from people. We all do that. It doesn't matter if there's a relationship, friendship, you work with somebody, you have a short interaction with somebody, there's always lessons in life. And you need to be aware. The more that you are aware of these facts, I took the Greyhound from California to Missouri, and I remember it was this lady on the bus, and I just remember this lady, she stood out because when you're on the Greyhound, it's a different animal. Okay, listen, it's just a fact. We all know this. When you're on the Greyhound, it's a different animal than being on the airplane, especially back then, because back then there was back in like 98, 99, 2000, when Cash Money was taking over for the 99 and the 2000, when Silk the Shocker was the top rapper. There was a big old difference in riding the Greyhound and taking a bus. There's certain people that you just knew, hey, these people are taking a bus. Hey, this person's gonna go on a plane. And so I took the plane before, and I remember I was wanting to go home, and I had like a lot of time I had more than enough time to go home. I was like, you know, I'm going to see my parents. I didn't care if I saw my brother or not, to be honest with you. And my other my my main compadre was just joining the military, I believe, so, or in the military already, so I wasn't gonna see him anyway. So I was like, man, you know what? I don't need to hurry up and get home because what am I gonna be doing? Like, I want to see my parents. Don't get me wrong, but other than that, I ain't got no woman, I ain't got nothing going on. Just going to see my parents. Who needs to be in a hurry? So I took the Greyhound, and I was on the Greyhound, and this lady got on the bus, and she had her bags, and I was like, "These nice looking luggage," and she had her jewelry on, and then I waited for a while, and she was like, "I'm going to St. Louis or whatever," and we was going from like Colorado to St. Louis, and I was like, "Ma'am, I don't mean to be," I said, it was like a few hours later, we got to be buddies because on the bus, where else you gonna be? I said, "Ma'am, you don't mind if I ask you a question? Like, what made you take the bus?" And she's like, "You could tell I never taken a bus before." And I was like, "Nah, you don't look like the type to be on the bus. I mean, you kind of, you dress nice, you got the jewelry going, you got the nice luggage." And she was like, "I've never taken a Greyhound, but I wanted to try it out and see how it was." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." And she was telling me about her life a little bit, and I took a lesson from that. You know what that lesson was? When I get more money, I'm not taking the Greyhound. When I get more money, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't taking no Greyhound. And hey, after a while, I stopped taking the Greyhound. Me personally, I don't see how anybody. If you got, listen, I like the Greyhound. I love the Greyhound. I enjoy the Greyhound. I like the people on the Greyhound. But man, long distance wise, no, no, no. Listen, I'm 46 now. I don't have the time. If I'm going from here, every now and then I will go. Every now and then I will go pick up a truck because I just like to get out of the city. And so every now and then they'll say, "Hey, hey Tony, hey, can you go pick up a truck?" Because nobody else will do it, and they pay you extra money, and it's cool. So I get on the bus and I go to Augusta or Columbia, South Carolina, and from where I live, it's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's not bad, but I always laugh and giggle because when I hear the people on the bus, they have a different attitude than people that you see at the airport. But now the airport is kind of morphed into the Greyhound. But that's the whole nother story for a whole nother time. But the point of all this is there's lessons everywhere. There are just lessons all through life. From your mom, your dad, your wife, your husband, even your kids. You know what I learned? You know what I learned from my daughter? I learned that today is a new day. And forget yesterday. Because my child, when she was a baby, she don't listen. All she knew was right now. All she knew was the present time. All she knew was right now. Whatever time it is, 11:12 a.m., that's all she knew. And as adults, and as we get older, for some reason, we tend to forget that. We either live in the past or we live in the future. We never think about the right now. And the best time to do anything is right now. It doesn't matter. It's like if you that's like saying it's it's one reason why people don't save money and people don't become millionaires is because they're so caught up in in the past nobody taught me this, and it's like, hey man, listen, I get it, I understand completely, nobody taught you this, but you are right now. Okay, we are in the time right now where is information is at your fingertip. You can go to the library, you can go to your phone. It doesn't matter. You can go wherever. You can create a business, you can start a business, you can work at a business, you can save money, you can invest money, you can pay off debts. You know how to do all that. It's at your fingertips. Do you want to do it? Will you do it? It's clearly up to you. Okay? But a lot of times people make the mistake of saying, "Hey, I didn't know this, or I can't do this." It's like, hey, just start saving 1%, start saving 2%, start saving 3%. Doesn't matter. Just start going, and you'll be amazed. It's like working out. I jump rope a lot, and I was showing my wife the other day my jump roping ability. My daughter had a short jump rope, and I was like, "Watch this." And my wife, she was impressed. She was like, "Ooh," and I was like, "I've been jumping rope for, I've been jumping rope for a long time now." And at first, I look terrible. Now, you see me jump a rope, I can knock out 200, 250. I can knock it out even in my old age, okay, I can knock it out in a few minutes. Okay. I can do it better than you. Why? Because I've been doing it for years and years. I got a little gut. Don't get that gut twisted, okay? We 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 gotta work out. I'm gonna give you another example about learning from people. I had a cousin. God bless him. He was 40 years old. He passed away. My cousin, he had a bad heart, he had a bad kidney. Okay. He died. Now why did he die? It's not like I had another family member who passed away. She was in much better shape. It was just more of genetics. Like the her kidneys got bad, but this so there was nothing that I don't think there was anything that she could do that would have like prevented it. Like I think it's just the genetics lottery. But for this other cousin of mine, he was a big old boy. Okay, he was big. They already told him he had a bad heart when he was like 28, 29. And so he already had the heart problems then. He didn't really take care of it. He waited until he was about 39, 40 to start. And then his kidneys went bad. And then he had to be on dialysis. And I just remember he was like, man, this is annoying. And it's like the preventative care was already there, but you did not take advantage of it. And I learned from that, and not to say, oh, I was just piss poor out of shape, but when you see one of your contemporaries pass away from things that they probably can prevent, it will wake you up, and it will say, hey. And then that was before I had my child, and then when my wife told me she was pregnant, it went into double time. So it was like, all right, way less soda, more water, way more vegetables. Even though I've already, been doing it off and on. Now it's like, all right, now let's get consistent. Let's get, and sometimes it's not that, hey, this is the reason why I'm gonna be healthy, but it don't hurt the situation. You want your loved one to be around. Don't get me wrong, you miss them and everything, but it's like, hey, you learned a lesson. Okay. It's the same as with the you see people all the time. You see more and more people. Like I live in Georgia, and you see people, they have the gun laws are, not the most strict. So I don't live in a state where, you know, you don't want to. It's like if you get into a traffic, like don't have road rage, like have enough control, because people can just pull out a gun and shoot. Now the chance of that happening to you, of course, slim. We know this. I know this. You know this. But it's like don't don't be the person who just flies into a rage for no reason, and then somebody's like, if you live in Georgia or Florida, and somebody's like, you know what, today I just feel like shooting somebody, and because I know everybody thinks they're a tough guy, but there are some people who just don't care about your life. They don't care about their life, and they do not care to go to jail. So it's like, why deal with those people? You can learn. You gotta learn lessons, because you see people all the time. Somebody will bump into them on the road, and they're like, "Why did you hit me?" Blah 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 blah. And they get into it with somebody. And next thing you know, they lose their life for road rage, for over a car, or they lose their life over a possession. And it's like, I love living. Okay, I love to live. I don't know about you, but I love living. I love life. I love to be alive. I love spending time with my wife. I love spending time with my daughter. I love going to my little family reunion we have every year. I like traveling up the road, going to different places every now and then. Please don't tell my wife this. I don't want her to hear this. But I do like that every now and then. And I just like living. I mean, God has blessed me, and I enjoy life. I like it. I like to living. I like talking to my friends. I like seeing my family. So I do not want to go out getting shot over a road rage incident. So when I see people now, I do not fly off the handle. I do not get upset. I drive all the time. I do not get upset. I say, hey, let them have it. You got it. You want it. You can have it. Okay. You gotta be careful out here. Okay, ladies and gents. That's all I'm telling you. There's lessons to be learned in everything that you do. And one lesson I'm going to tell you, listen, I'm probably going on and on, but today is just me and you chat. The lesson that I've learned in the last month or two, ladies and gentlemen, about podcasting, social media. Listen, the thing that I learned the most is to focus on I'm going to focus on things that I can control. Listen, I am not a social media darling. I don't care to be a social media wizard. I don't care to be an expert on TikTok. I don't care. Find you a theme. You want to find something that works for you on any social media platform. Find yourself a theme. Stick to the theme. Ride that out. Create all the videos, all the content you want. And but for me, the thing that I'm going to worry about is an email list because I can control that. The more that I grow my email list, the more that I will be able to make money from the email list. I will be able to send out emails. And people don't think it doesn't, you want to, whether it be a website, whether it be an email list, whether it be an app, you want to do things that you can control. You can't control YouTube. You can't control Facebook. Now you can use those. Those are great tools you want to use. But ladies and gentlemen, you want to be able to have the ability to control the income you make. You want to be able to have the ability to control the list of people that you make, the fans that you make. Because I thought about this. I was looking at TikTok and I'm never going to have 1 million people on TikTok. It's just the way it is. I don't care enough about it. I don't I don't if 1 million people sign up and follow me on TikTok, that's great. But I'm not gonna put out the effort to make that happen. And at first I was like, man, I gotta make these videos for TikTok, da, 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 da. And I thought, this it's not that it listen, I love doing the podcast. You gotta focus on the things that you want to do. Don't focus on the things you think will help. This is the problem where we go wrong. We think what can get me, listen, doing the podcast, uploading stuff on the YouTube channel, that I can do that. Doubling down on the email list, I can do that. Becoming a guest on other people's shows, I can do that. I can be entertaining, I can be charming, all that jazz. You got to do all that. You can be all that. You want to get your name out there. You want to be able to, get more people on your signed up for your email list, signed up for your course, whatever. But you want to have something to be able to give your audience, and you want to be able to. It's like if you have a fire drill, and you have an audience not in the email list, not on your website. You just have your audience on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You got them everywhere, but it's like, all right, when it's time to gather around, when it's time for you to sell something, when it's time, because we are here to make money. Listen, nobody creates content just to create content unless you're, I don't know. I'm not gonna call you an idiot, but it'd be naive. So everybody has an angle. Don't misconstrue them. Okay, don't think they don't. Everybody has an angle. Everybody that's on social media has an angle. You know, whether if they post all day, they have an angle. They want attention. Okay, and we all know currency, attention currency is quite the currency out here today. Okay, and so people want something. All right, and so ladies and gents, the lesson that I can tell you is build up what you can control, whether it be your website, whether it be an email list, whether it be an app that you want to have people on. Build up what you can control. You can't control TikTok. You can't control Facebook. You can't control YouTube. You can make ads. You can get people to come to your stuff to watch your stuff, but you want people signed up on website, email list, app, uh, your mailing list. You want people that you can have right there. So when you say, "Hey, I got something to offer," they will be right there. Not, I gotta go over here. I gotta go over there. I gotta go over here. I remember last month last month I just said, let me try this out. And I was doing TikTok and I was doing then taking it to YouTube and blah blah blah. And I just thought, this is going nowhere. I need to be doing more because I got a nice email list. I need to be doing more with my email list. I need to be building that because that is where the money's at. Not in, I mean, hey, it's nice. If TikTok sends me a check, that would be great. The more money the merrier, don't get me wrong. But if you build up this email list, if you build up this mailing list, then you can always tell people. If you have 20,000 people, just imagine if you have 20,000 people on your email list, and then you say, "Hey, could y'all go to Twitter and follow me?" You'll get about 5 to 10% of the people just like, "All right, I'll follow this guy," maybe even more. But that's 2,000 people right there. And then you don't look so. You're not trying to reach and trying to reach and trying to reach because now everybody's so cool for school to get people to follow you. It's you got to work double hard, triple hard. And who needs that? Who wants that? Well, you could just be building your list, growing your list, building your website, building your app. Build things that you can control, and that way when you get more people to you, then you can say, "Hey, y'all follow me on Instagram, y'all follow me here, you follow me there," instead of, because when I was on TikTok doing it's like I started at zero, and you're working hard to get more people to watch your TikTok. And it's like, why do that? That's a mistake. That's a mistake that I made. And so that's a lesson from me to you. And I know we went all around the world. We went from San Diego to Missouri and back. But ladies and gentlemen, I am just here to help you out. We all make mistakes. I want you to learn from mine. And to grow, to blossom, and I want you to create. I want you to be able to be. I want you to be the best content creator out there in the world. And so, learn from me. You take your videos or you take your whatever, upload them on a website. Say, hey, you get your email list going. You really start working on that email list. You work on the website. You work on your app. Work on things that you are in control of. You're not in control of YouTube. YouTube can strike you down anytime. I saw a clip of Gilbert Arenas. He was like, he done got Kwame Brown 2 strikes. One more strike, Kwame Brown's out. He would have to redo his YouTube channel. Who wants that headache? You can't control YouTube, but you can control videos on your own website. You can control videos that you send on through your email list, and then you can say whatever in the he double hockey sticks you want. Okay. So, ladies and gents, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Zano. Thank you for listening. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, everybody, peace.